Shalom, and welcome to another episode of the Habibis, three game developers drinking good Arab tea. I'm your host for this week, Osama Dorias.
And I am Fawzi Mesmar, your co-host.
Yes. Did I say three developers?
I did,
When was the last time we had three developers?
it's been a while.
It's been.
We said the same thing last week, in which I
Oh no.
surprised Rami by being a co-host. Then there was no third co-host.
No, unfortunately not. Anyway, Rami's not here. We assume he's on a plane. We don't know for sure.
It usually
But
is.
usually, remember the website Rami used to have, where in the world is Rami now, or
Yeah,
something like that, or is Rami in the Netherlands or something like that?
yeah.
Now it's like literally, isn't Rami in the air? It's like 50% chance.
We should expand that to all the Habibis. Where are the Habibis?
Good point, because now we're all kind of airborne.
Especially like once eventually he buys a plane and now he's hauling us around everywhere. Like we're all aboard the Air Rami and now we're going everywhere. Yeah,
I love it.
I'm liking this
It's
idea.
gonna happen. Yeah, I'm in.
It's like a tiny tour plane. we're on the tour and there are three of us.
I gotta renew my passport. Thank you for the reminder.
Habibi Airlines.
Habibi Air. Habibi Air.
Habibi Air.
I love it.
The Royal Habibis. Habibi
Royal.
Wings. Habibi Wings.
All right, we need to go on Twitter and make a poll and see what we should name our airline.
They will not allow us anywhere near US airfields,
That's okay.
It's going to be Europe only, at best.
So how you been, Fawzi? How's the week been for you?
I've been playing some video games, actually.
Really?
It's been the long-awaited Nintendo release of Captain Tsubasa.
Is the game any different on the Switch?
No, it's not Captain Tsubasa. I was half joking. It's
I know. I know what just came out on the Switch. I was playing along.
God damn it! I didn't catch that.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So obviously we're talking about Mario Strikers.
Mario Strikers. I think it's because Captain
How do you like
Tsubasa originally did not have a Switch release. So I was like,
Yes.
and then they released it later on the Switch. So, but now
They're similar games, right? In a lot
they're
of ways.
they're super similar. So it's one of those hyper anime soccer simulation to some extent. But this one is with Mario characters. So I think like the best way to describe this game is that think five-a-side football. No, let me repitch this to you. Think Mario Kart, but with five-a-side football. And by football I mean soccer for our North American listeners. And instead of tackling players, which you can also punch them in the face.
Okay.
So like if you
punch them,
like,
that's a violent.
Your opponents, your opponents,
game.
yeah, you can like punch them, clobber them, kick them.
And you can do it even when they don't have the ball.
And you can do that even when they don't have the ball, yes.
So it's basically a fighting game where soccer happens as well.
Soccer is part of it. And it's totally one of those games in which you are bound to lose friends over. Especially your competitive friends. Like if you have friends that are super competitive and they think they're really good at Mario Strikers, if that's a thing. And then like they're just about to score and they're charging the hyper shot and like it's in slow motion and whatnot, and then you like throw a banana at them, cancel all of that. People with short tempers are going to be very upset.
I can't wait to try it. It's on my very long list of games that I want to play and won't have time.
It's fun, man. So it's like five-a-side. You choose each. Is it five-a-side? No, it's four-a-side. My bad. Four-a-side with the keeper. That's the five part. Yes. So 4 players and a keeper. That's 5. I'm good at podcasting. Four players and a keeper. The keeper is almost always AI controlled, right? And the players, they can be assigned to different players, or one player can control the entire team.
So the question I have for you is, do you know how many players it is local?
I think it can support up to 8 players.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I need to fact
as far
check.
as
I need
I
to fact
know,
check that, but I think it
yeah,
is. Uh,
because I like the only two games that I know of that supported 8 players on the Switch were Smash Bros. And I think there was like a Runbow or some other color-based platformer type game. I don't think there are many that support 8 players local.
yeah, so this is why it caught my attention because it has that Smash thing in which you can assign players to different slots, and every slot can select a character. So yes, I just fact checked that every match of the game can be played in multiplayer, and up to 4 players can control a single team.
Wow.
So
Okay, that's amazing.
so you can choose your character, and now you're Mario for the rest of the match. So that's pretty cool. I want to try that. I haven't tried that yet. I have played multiple matches in which we were just two of us. So each one of us controlled the team, or the two of us were on the same team, and then you can switch between players in a similar way you could do in FIFA. Unless you use one of the shoulder buttons and then you toggle basically.
Wow. Okay.
It has a lot of the things that you would have in a football game. So you can pass, you can shoot, you can through pass, you can lob the ball over, and you can tackle. You use one of the right trigger button to kind of speed up and speed down. And when you speed up or use any of the power moves, it consumes your stamina. So it's kind of to counter you overusing it. You can
Hmm.
tackle. You can charge tackle. You can shoot, and you can charge shoot. And obviously, when you
Okay.
charge shoot, you can shoot stronger. They
Hmm.
have a lot of like small smart depth mechanics to kind of like add the more skill to the game. So there is
Hmm.
perfect timing. So for example, if you pass the minute you get the ball, you can pass again. So you can do a 1-2 kind of thing. However,
Okay.
if you press it in the exact right time, you can get what they call a perfect pass, which
Okay.
like
Like a homing pass.
shines differently, and it has like a trail behind it and all of this, and it's a
Hmm.
bit more accurate. Uh,
And that's if you press like the pass button as you're getting the
just as the
ball.
ball gets to your character's foot.
Okay.
And they have that. Well, like I think in some characters they can even use their hand to push the ball around, like if you're playing a Donkey Kong or something. So like it's soccer. It's loosely based on
Yeah.
soccer. But like if you pass the ball and the other player shoots at the like the perfect time that the ball gets there, then it's a perfect
Hmm.
shot,
Mm.
and that's more powerful than a regular shot.
Okay.
And it has a bunch of these like smart depth mechanics. So like you can tackle, and
Hmm.
there's an evade button that you can use. So you can like
Hmm.
avoid a player that is tackling you. But if you evade just at the last second, then you get the perfect evasion, or the perfect dodge, I
Okay.
think they call it, and that
Hmm.
gives you an extra speed boost for a couple of seconds.
That's really cool. It feels like a action adventure game where all of these mechanics, like perfect parries or perfect dodges, like
Yeah.
found a good home.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of like skill based mechanics in the game to kind of
Yeah.
differentiate players on skill level and all of this. And you learn that in the tutorial, like, okay, I can probably master each one of those on their own. But then you play a match, and then it's chaos. It's mayhem. There's like all these characters playing at the same time, players tackling each
Hmm.
other, and all of that stuff. It really requires you to play a couple of matches to kind of readjust your brain to go like, okay, I need to remember all the things that I've learned. I need to like take
Mm.
it easy, and like I need to like it requires like split
Yeah.
second reflexes sometimes in order for you to
Of
react
course.
to what your opponent is doing.
So it's not a game that you could just pick up and play with friends that have played it before. You're
Yeah.
gonna get
I
wrecked.
think this is kind of one of those games that are kind of like polarizing. Like I think there are some people that
Yeah.
will pick it up and have a good time. I think there's some people like
Hmm.
will find it overwhelming and hate it. I think there's some people
Hmm.
that might take it seriously, and then it might become their game. You
Hmm.
know, to make
Okay.
matters,
It's a good place for a game like this to sit,
yeah,
in my
right,
opinion. The
yeah,
only thing missing is like usually you would have at least one mode for the people who don't want to take it seriously but still want to have a good time.
yeah,
And usually it's a single player or story mode or something.
yeah.
And if they have that, then that's a full
I'm not sure
package.
if this game has that, so it's not a story mode kind of thing. You can still play friendlies, as far as I
Mm.
saw. I haven't played
Okay.
online yet. I'm terrible at the game so far, so I will eventually go up and play it. But like, there's online clubs and there's leagues and there's all kinds of different modes that the online game will unlock for you to enjoy the game. But right now, I'm
Mhm.
enjoying it quite a bit in friendlies when I'm playing against friends and all of this. Oh yeah, and there's this other mechanic that I wanted to add. Also similar to
Mhm.
Smash, all of a sudden, like this flaming orb appears in the field,
Oh,
and then the
and you get your superpower
exactly
thing?
the team that collects it, now you have the
Wow.
hyper shot, and then
Wow.
the hyper shot
Okay.
is this super thing that you can trigger, and once you trigger it, it will show this meter in which you have to perfectly time two button presses so that you can
Mhm.
execute the perfect shot.
Oh, so you still have a skill check even after collecting the
Yes,
power up.
exactly. Also,
Okay.
keep in mind that while you're doing all of this, any other player could slow motion tackle you.
Yeah.
So also like trying to pick the position to do this, then do the skill check, then shoot the ball
Mhm.
and wish for the best.
Mhm.
It's still like not a guaranteed score. And this one, if you
I,
score with
I
this one, you get 2 points.
wow. Okay, loosely based on
Loosely
football, I
based
see.
on football. There's also like
What's interesting about that is it's not what I would have expected from a game that comes from Nintendo because like I was just expecting some hardcore rubber banding where if you are losing, the ball will spawn in your court and there will be no skill check and you're going to turn all the other characters in the opposing team tiny and be able to squish like really like a Mario Kart slash uh, soccer.
yeah,
So this is more skill based than I would have
and
expected.
and
Probably like yeah,
and I think that's why it's going to be polarizing. I think this is like more
yeah,
tennis aces, Mario Tennis Aces,
yeah,
in which like it's a it's a bit of a fighting game in its DNA, and it's very skill
yes,
based. And that's why I'm saying it might be polarizing because like the players that cannot pull off the skill stuff, they'll
yeah.
probably bounce off it if they're in an uneven matchup.
That makes sense.
There's this
Um,
other
there.
mechanic that I also found interesting. That's maybe adds a little bit of the randomness. Maybe that's a bit of
Mhm,
the rubber banding, but also this is the part that will some of the pro quotation players will not enjoy. Is that
mhm.
there's like Mario Kart, there's the random boxes that spawn in the field.
Okay.
Some boxes have your team's color, and only your team can collect them. Some boxes
Mhm,
have the opponent team color, and you can't collect them. And some are neutral; anyone can grab.
mhm,
And when you grab them, they spawn items.
mhm,
And they're very much like Mario Kart items in which you can throw a banana peel, you can throw a green turtle shell, and a homing red turtle shell, and a bomb, which for me is
mhm,
like one of the most powerful items in the game so far.
mhm.
Um,
And those, do you feel that the spawn rate, like, do you feel you get better items based on how poorly you're doing? Like, is it a negative feedback loop
I think
or
it's probably that's where they do that. They try to do the rubber banding a
okay?
bit. Uh,
But you didn't notice it
I
explicitly,
haven't
is
seen
what I'm
any
asking.
blue shells or like
I
the
see.
homing missiles or any of that stuff just yet.
Okay, so it's more random and hoping that it's not going to help out the better
Yeah, but
player
honestly,
and
like a
less.
bomb can just screw things up so badly that I don't know if you ever need like it's like an area of effect thing that just blows up three players. And the thing is, like
Okay, that is pretty
in
big.
this game, when you're knocked up, when you're knocked
Yeah,
over,
yeah,
you're kind of stunned for a couple of seconds.
yeah. And in a soccer game, that's
Yeah,
huge, especially when you're four players on the field and three get knocked out. Like that's that's a game
that's
changer.
half the team just sitting there. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And yeah, spot on analysis. I love the game design in Osama. It's just like if you haven't played the game, but you go like, yep, they put this for this. They put that for that. This is the mechanic they're using for this.
Likewise, Habibi. I love that I get to talk to you about these things. I love it. There is a correction that I wanted to make. I had
Mhm.
said at the beginning that I think there are no other games that are eight players other than Smash Brothers and Runbow. Apparently, that was the truth like 4 years ago or whenever the Switch came out. And there are over a dozen other games right now that have eight player support. So I don't know how. Some of which I knew about and I kind of forgot about. Like I knew Towerfall had 8 players, and I knew Bomberman had 8 players. I just you read a thing at some point, you don't adjust. So yeah, there are plenty of 8 player games on the Switch, local 8 player games on the Switch, which is really interesting. It's the only console doing that right now.
Yeah, so I was tweeting about this earlier. I think like at Gamescom, I'm gonna be bringing this. I know Rami's gonna be bringing his Switch,
Yeah,
and
I'm planning to go to Gamescom. I didn't buy my tickets yet, so it's not official yet. But I'm
do it, man.
hoping it'll
Like
be my
GDC,
first
like
Gamescom.
hotels and stuff
Yeah,
go fast, so I would start booking them early if I were you.
yeah. Okay, good
And I
call.
think we'll
I'm
be
gonna
able
do
to
that.
get like at least 8 other players and like have a bunch of like Mario Striker games and stuff like that. That would be fun.
That absolutely sounds like a blast. That sounds so good. All right, I'm in. Count me in. As long as not everything is booked up already, I'm
Now, hopefully, you'll find
in.
something, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have you played anything else this week?
I've watched a TV show I wanted to talk about.
Oh,
It's a TV show called Tokyo Vice on HBO. Have
wow.
you heard of
Tokyo
it or seen
Vice.
any of it or something like this?
Nothing at
All
all.
right. So I can. I think it got released April this year. Yeah. So it's
Mm,
pretty new. First season came out
mhm.
a couple of months ago. It's based on a book called Tokyo Vice by Jake Adelstein. It's
Okay.
a nonfiction book. Jake Adelstein is an American who used to live in Tokyo, I think, in the 90s. He went over to Japan. He studied economics, if I'm not mistaken, and then studied Japanese literature. He's super fluent in Japanese. He's so fluent, in fact, that he managed to get a job at the Meicho newspaper,
Oh wow.
being the first foreigner to ever get that job. So it's a Japanese newspaper. It's one of the most widely circulated newspapers in the country with millions of readers. So it makes it like it gives it a world ranking just by the sheer number of people that were reading it back in the 90s.
Hmm.
And he gets the job as a news reporter writing news articles in Japanese. And
That's impressive, just on its own.
super, right? And
Yeah.
like the actual true story is super impressive and inspired the TV series. And through his work in the newspaper, he gets exposed to the workings of the yakuza.
Oh.
So he starts to follow the yakuza. He gets in touch with a lot of yakuza members, some kingpins even, and has a lot of fascinating run-ins with them and covering their stories and work with the police and all of that stuff.
Okay.
So he covered a lot of his work through the newspaper, made sure while he was there, and then he eventually compiled all of this stuff in a nonfiction book in English called Tokyo Vice that was released and in which the TV show is based on.
How do you like the show? I'm very intrigued. I'm
It's
adding it
great.
to my
The
list.
show is fantastic.
Yeah.
The show is fantastic. So I think they capture a lot of the elements of what the book is all about. The book I also quite enjoyed, so it was great to see it being transferred into the main screen. Many things I want to say. The plot is super intriguing. It's if you're not familiar with Japan, it's like a gateway into this wonderful world that you probably never know existed. And if you're kind of
Mm,
familiar with Japan, it's an even deeper look into like the underworld of Tokyo and how the yakuza work, really, like the gangsters kind of thing. It's a fun drama generally. That's the kind of drama I usually get into, which is the crime drama, as you've seen in like
mhm,
most of my
mhm,
favorite shows. Like my favorite show is The Wire, and that's also a crime drama to some extent. So crime drama is
mhm,
like the genre I like, and that's like a very specific Japanese flavor.
mhm.
And for me, there was a lot to relate to the show because there was this only foreigner guy in a very Japanese company, and
Yeah.
he was he had to learn the hard way to follow the rules sometimes. And he was
Yeah.
also like this new person coming in from a different culture and tried to bring in their ideas and the clash that happens sometimes. That mirrors a lot my own experience, in which like I worked in a
Mhm,
company, I was the only non-Japanese guy in the company, and like constantly walking the fine line of understanding the culture, trying to bring in your own, being respectful, and also like trying to walk the line between what does it mean to be a foreigner or a foreigner working in the country, speaking the language, not speaking the language. There's a lot of like these nuances that I think people with a
Mm.
similar experience to mine will be able to relate to. For me, I found it like it made me yeah, a little bit nostalgic in some sense. The locations
You,
of the shooting from a lot of the things also made me nostalgic. So
mm.
so it's
You know what I really want
yeah.
now that you're saying this? I really want your memoirs of you working. Like, I even have a suggestion for the book name.
Yeah.
You could call it Tokyo Nice. All right. There was a little bit of a joke in
I
there, but
love
the
it.
serious I'm serious about the topic.
Oh
I
man.
think I would love to hear and read more about your adventures working in as the only non-Japanese person in a Japanese video game company. I just can't wait to hear all your stories
I have
about
a
it.
lot of stories. Maybe I'll drop a little bit here in the podcast here and there, but yeah, but why not? If I ever write that book, I'll make sure that you would write the forward to it. So,
Oh, I would love that so much.
like here's the guy that made the pun. That's now the title.
I love it. I mean,
Uh,
yeah, the forward will just be explaining the pun. That's all,
yeah,
because that's what we have to do, right?
yeah.
We explain segues and puns.
And there was one thing I also wanted to add. The that I found interesting is the cast of the show. So
Mhm.
from the Japanese side, there's Ken Watanabe, who's like an Academy Award nominee.
Yes. Yeah, it's a big deal.
He brings in like an incredible performance in every work he does.
Everything.
This
Absolutely.
this is not exception. The Japanese cast, there's also Sho Kasamatsu, also does a brilliant performance. The Japanese cast I found was brilliant. Like really did an amazing job. The guy that's playing Jake Adelstein, his name is Ansel Elgort.
Hmm.
I didn't know much about this guy. I think I've only seen him in one movie before called Baby Driver, another movie I really like.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Baby Driver is nice. So here's Baby in that movie.
Oh, okay. I didn't know his name.
Yeah. So as I was watching the series, he does a lot of lines in both Japanese and English. And usually, like, it's kind of similar to Arabic. When, like, an actor starts speaking Japanese in a movie, I kind of cringe. In a similar way, like, when somebody starts
Yeah.
speaking Arabic in a movie, like, super broken Arabic.
Yeah.
So I was expecting a bit of that. And then he starts
Mhm.
speaking, and I was like, the accent is not 100%, but it's very impressive.
Really?
Yeah, I'm listening. Like there's other cast members that are speaking. What I expected. There was some broken Japanese being speaking there, even if it's spoken correctly, like a very heavy, thick accent. But when this dude was doing his lines, they were flowing. Like
Wow.
he's not struggling to read his lines. He's acting his lines. So I started to dig into it, and turns out that he spent like 6 weeks studying 6 hours a day or 7 hours a day of Japanese.
Wow.
And he liked
That's
it so
intense.
much that he's now like doing Japanese regularly. So he wants to like continue all the way until he becomes fluent. And that kind of
Mhm.
helped the creators of the show, in which like usually that they will have you do 2 words in Japanese and then you continue the rest in English, so that the audience
Yeah.
feel that they are now speaking in Japanese, kind of thing, and then they don't have
Yeah.
to make the actor struggle or people that understand Japanese struggle listening to them. But in
Wow.
this,
So
but he volunteered and he was like, "Yeah, I can do this," and he was speaking like he can express himself pretty interesting, and I really like that he also knows his level in the language, so that he was selective. So like he would speak in semi-long sentences, but he would avoid like super
Mhm.
complex things that will kind of blow his cover.
Yeah.
So he comes
I know
across like you
exactly
watch
what
an
you
entire
mean.
season, he goes like, "This guy is fluent," and then like you read about it and you go like, "Okay, I love how he picked his battles," so to say.
I know exactly what you mean. I've seen the foreign actor try to speak English and using a word that someone who's just picking up the language wouldn't have used at all. And yet, like, I could tell that the writer wrote this word and nobody reevaluated it. And even me when I'm giving presentation, sometimes I go over a word and I'm like, that doesn't come out naturally when I say it, and I'll just replace it for something simpler or more natural to me. So like I love that you've noticed this in the show as a strong point, because that is a strong point. You want the whole thing to feel like it's a like it was intentional and not, you know, just a byproduct of random things that
Uh,
people put together.
Totally, man. It kind of like, it brings the suspension of disbelief. So like,
Yeah,
there were many times like it still happens to me, and like when I'm watching a movie and then like these guys are Arab and then they start speaking and then they're speaking in like Urdu or something else, and immediately like that's like a slap in the face, the wake up kind of thing, in which like, wait, what's happening? Why are these guys not speaking the language in which the movie setting is supposed to be? Right?
yeah,
It's only a
yeah,
small portion of people that understand the language will have their suspensions of disbelief broken, but
yeah.
it's so strong that it will immediately bring you out of the experience.
Absolutely. Like you said, I saw the same thing happen when I was watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and the character just says two words in Arabic, just two words, and they were so badly said that I'm like, no Arab would understand them.
Yeah,
Like no one would under. They'd say, "Sorry, come again. What language are you speaking?" Not in a rude way, just seriously. If you said these words in this way to me, will have no idea what you're saying.
yeah,
I wouldn't even know you're speaking the language, and that was just one example. But we see it all the time. So yeah, absolutely, the suspension of disbelief is a big deal, right? And there's often said so confidently,
yeah,
despite them being just utterly wrong. Anyway,
yeah,
what
man.
can you do?
Well,
I'm glad this wasn't the case in Tokyo
yeah.
Vice.
So talking about it completely, they completely nailed it. Uh,
Great.
Super fun show. I recommend it. HBO, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
they make
they
the
know what
best
they're
shows.
doing.
I reckon.
Yeah. So, what else have you been watching, playing,
Uh,
doing?
I mean, like, there's a lot of E3 happening. I'm not sure if you're following on that.
To be honest, not as much as I normally would.
Yeah.
I've like had a little bit of a flare up of health issues, so I've seen bits and pieces here and there, but not that much. But tell us, how about you? Tell us your highlights, your favorites so far.
Hmm. Uh,
You don't have to spend too long on it. Just like top two or three
okay.
things that came out.
Maybe I'll talk about a couple of things. So a big.
I love that you called it E3, by the way.
What should I call it? Key three? Is that the?
Everyone's saying not E3.
Yeah.
My favorite my favorite trailer from not E3 is it's Summerfest, I think,
Yeah.
is
Summer.
the official word.
So I've seen people call it Key three with like Jeff Keighley's last name.
Oh,
Uh,
that's cool. That's clever. I like that.
and I'm kind of digging that. So yeah,
I like it. I like
key three it is then.
it. Go for
So
it.
I can talk about one big surprise for me was the riot offer in the Microsoft show. I don't know if you've seen that, Osama.
Where you get all the characters from all the Riot games free with Game Pass. Is that the one?
Yes, everything's unlocked
That's
on
huge.
Game Pass.
Yeah.
Also, none of those games are on console,
Yeah. Which is huge as well.
right? So like it's just Microsoft going up on the podium and saying, "Yo, with Game Pass, we're not looking at console. We're looking at everything."
Yep.
Like this is where this account is going. You'll have
Yep.
one Microsoft account that you can run on anything
Yep.
and get all kinds of stuff.
You
And
know what I found?
yeah,
Like, and that is impressive on its own, right?
yeah,
Because my first instinct when I saw that is like, wait, LOL is coming to console?
yeah,
Like, that was my first thought.
yeah,
Because you just assume that their focus would have been on console. So when you find out that's not the case, like everybody has had that moment where they had to stop and think, what does this actually
yeah.
mean, right?
And then like I started to think like that means that your Microsoft account, you have your Riot account gonna get folded in.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking that, gosh, that means that at the end of the acquisition, your Battle.net account is gonna get merged in too, right?
Yes.
And then I'm looking like, oh yeah, holy crap! This one account is going to be the combination of half
Too
the
many
industry
things.
accounts all in one, right?
Yeah. That's a lot of power for one company to have.
Yeah,
It's an exciting and scary thing.
it
But
is. But it was like like when they showed that, I was like, okay. And on their stage also, like when they were talking about games, like prior to, like, those Microsoft moves, when a trailer is shown, at the end of it they'll be like, coming to, I don't know, Steam, PlayStation, Switch, whatever. It's showing the logos of the things it's going to be on. In
Hmm.
Microsoft Showcase, they show a game and they go like, coming to console, PC, cloud.
Hmm.
It's just the words,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm.
And it's like, it feels like, a step one of two. I'm saying, like,
Yep.
this one
Yep.
account that's going to have everything. These are the means in which you can access that account for now.
Yep. Yep. It's incredible to think that just a couple of short years ago, the thought of crossplay across consoles was
Hmm.
unheard of. It was
Yeah,
just like, no, that's never going to happen. And then when those walls came down, everything else came flooding in. It's
yeah.
incredible.
The convergence is happening,
Shocking.
and it's going across, like, beyond just companies converging. It's everything
Yes,
converging, like the way we play, where we play, all of that is coming together. Yeah, play on whatever you want.
it is.
All you need is that one account, I guess.
It
So
is. It's almost seems like, even though they don't have the tech for it, it almost seems like Microsoft is delivering on what Stadia was promising.
yeah,
And I know that's a very like open statement. It doesn't go, but there's still a lot of truth in that. I just wish that the tech of the cloud for Microsoft was stronger. That's the only thing I was hoping for.
it's coming.
Is that yeah, it is coming.
It's
It
coming.
is.
It's a
It's
matter
not
of
far
time.
away.
I do believe that
Yeah,
Google threw in the towel way too soon.
yeah, I do agree with that as well. The tech was really good, but the business model wasn't great.
Yeah, but they,
That's
they
all.
could have evolved that. But instead they
Agreed.
were like, all right, we're not doing anything. Keep your controller. See you later. And I think that was too hasty.
A mistake. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. There's so much potential for that.
Time will tell. And like, they're big enough that they might want to come back in, but like, now they not only need to go into a very competitive market, they need to also go on a redemption tour, telling people, no, this time we actually mean it, and then people
Yeah.
believing it.
They can't do it. Like I think that the damage control there will cost them a fortune at this point,
Yeah,
and they already invested a fortune and didn't make returns. I think the best bet for them is to partner with someone else and have them use their tech and
yeah,
that company use their branding.
you're
Like
probably right. And this is why I'm
either
thinking, like, it was
yeah,
hasty. Like, if even if you
it
supported it
was
a little bit, just keep it on the back burner. And when people are
yeah.
ready, crank that up to 11. It's much better than you going like, "Yep, I'm out. See you guys
I
later.
agree. I
We'll
agree.
we'll we'll make more YouTube stuff."
Yeah, it's almost on a back burner now. I like my app, my Stadia app on my phone got updated like a week ago or something. I don't know
Oh
why,
yeah, that's
but
right. Yeah,
probably a hot fix. But like it's kind of almost on the back burner, but it's dead in people's minds. That's the problem.
that's a problem. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, yeah.
Another quick highlight. So, like, the big highlight was, Microsoft's showing more of its plans for the future, I guess.
Yes,
And
yeah.
speaking of its plans for the future, one of the big other highlights for me. All right, there are two. I'm going to keep them really quick. One of them
Mhm.
is Starfield.
Yeah,
I'm saying the
yeah,
game correctly. I think it is Starfield.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Star.
No Man's Skyrim.
No one's Skyrim. I love that the pitch. Like, best way to describe a game in 3 words is No Man's Skyrim,
Yeah,
and I'm all in
yeah,
for it. It's
yeah.
I like the storylines of Skyrim. I love to see what the Dark Brotherhood in space would look like. You know,
Yep, yep,
and like, they're working on it. They're gonna probably fix the gunplay a little bit more, like, put more stuff on those planets and pull the game together. But all in all, is like, yeah, I like the idea of exploring space, shooting aliens, going to a story, building spaceships. I like to do all of these things individually. I'd like them all together, probably.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like I had this moment where when they were saying, and you can land anywhere on this planet. I'm like, yeah, that sounds so cool.
Yeah.
Then they said, and any planet in the solar system. I'm like, okay, okay,
Oh no.
that could work.
Yeah.
And then they said, and 1,000 other planets. And I'm like, oh,
There's
can I
nothing.
just get,
There's nothing
yeah,
much on those
like,
planets, huh?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Can I just get a guide for the 3 or 4 planets that have stuff on
Yeah.
it, and I'll go to those? I don't mind that you procedurally generate 995 others.
Yeah.
I just want to know which ones not to waste my time with.
Yeah. That's
But like,
exactly
I'm
that.
still super excited for the game. I'm not saying anything bad
It's
about it.
Bethesda. It's
It's
gonna be
just
good. uh,
Yeah, it
I
will.
will enjoy it. But yeah, I was
Yeah,
kind
and
of
I'm
like you.
excited for. Yeah, I'm excited for the day where we get excited about content created by AI in the same way as we get crafted content. Like procedural generation takes it to the next step. I don't know if it's going to be in our lifetime. Probably at the pace things are going now.
Yeah,
We're just not there yet. Crafted content is still,
yeah,
better
yeah. I agree.
for most
Yeah,
things. The you said you had another highlight.
yeah. It was the game of the show for me. The game of the show for
Okay.
me so far is called The Plucky Squire.
What? I was expecting a completely different game. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Plucky Squire. What is that?
Have you
I'm looking
haven't
it
you
up
haven't
right
seen
now.
anything about this?
I have not seen anything
I
about it.
almost don't want to say anything then in this case because I don't want to ruin it for you, so that you can just go and watch the trailer and just get excited about this game. It's this indie game. It's published by Devolver Digital, and it's Zelda inspired in a lot of ways. And
And it's gorgeous.
I'm
Oh
gonna
my god, is it
I'm gonna
gorgeous?
stop at that. Like, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's imaginative, and like I said, it's inspired with many Zeldas. Like, think the Link Between Worlds, even.
Oh my god. Okay, this just made it to the top of
Yeah,
my. Oh my god, I just saw a thing I
yeah.
didn't expect.
Watch the trailer.
What?
Watch it all the way through because it just keeps on surprising you of like how good it's gonna get.
Wow.
That's yeah. That's the game I'm like the most hyped about.
Okay, now and I didn't expect this, but this is the game I'm the most hyped about too, just from watching this trailer.
Nice.
It's a 1 minute trailer. I watched it in the time it took you to say that.
Yeah,
And wow, okay, that's incredible. Now I have to watch it with sound because I watched it silent,
yeah. It
so that I
sounds
can
just
hear
as
you
good
talk.
as it looks.
I bet it does. I expected you to say Street Fighter Six,
But
but that didn't even make your top
I
three.
saw that before Key 3.
That's true. We did
Yeah.
see that
I
before
saw
Key
that
Three,
before Key
but
3 and I was hyped about it.
yes, but we saw
Rami and I
more.
talked quite a bit about it last week.
Yes, but they showed more during Key Three, so
Yes.
that's why I thought maybe yeah, like they showed new characters. There's Guile now. They explained the system in more details with the 6 bars and what they do and what you're able to do with
I'm
them.
so excited about this
And
game. Oh my god. They're like
yeah,
everything
the
you
more
like
I
about Street
see,
Fighter, it's your Street Fighter wish list. We'll put it all in one game.
yes, exactly. You saw the taunt that Luke gave
I
Ryu.
did.
He's
Man,
oh my god.
I can't wait. Like I think I saw these taunts and the image in my brain was that people who are new to Street Fighter, they're gonna
Yeah.
lose one round, then in the next round they're gonna do these taunt 3 times and then rage quit.
You're probably right. You're probably right. But yeah, okay, cool. That's yeah. You put a game on my radar. I cannot wait for it to come out. I'm super excited. That's something special.
But hey,
I'm
it's
very
still
grateful to
ongoing. So
you.
maybe next time we're doing a podcast, there'll be more stuff to talk about. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's my key three
yeah.
so far.
My one of the games I'm super excited about, and I know this was revealed and announced later, but not exactly a key three moment. But in 2 days, we get a new Ninja Turtle beat 'em up,
Oh yeah, that's right.
and it
That looks like
yeah,
cool. That's
the,
really cool, actually.
it's made by my friends
Oh yeah.
actually. uh, I don't know if you know, but like years and years ago I worked on an action puzzler, kind of like Puzzle Fighter, called Heroes Never Lose. And my friend Stefan, who made the backgrounds for that game, pixel artist, he made the backgrounds for the Ninja Turtle games. So
Nice.
and a few other friends that I know who worked on it as well. So I'm very biased. It's also on Game Pass, which makes it super easy. So I'm gonna buy it to support them and play it for free on Game Pass at the same time.
Here's our
It,
Gamecast plug of the week.
yeah. We really should get that sponsorship. We're giving it away for free.
Yeah, then why would they pay for it? We're practically doing
Why
it.
would they pay for it? Exactly. They'd be silly too. But yeah, okay, cool. I had a couple of things to talk about. I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'll make it really,
Well,
really
go
quick.
for it, man.
So I played the first episode, or rather the first chapter, because it's not episodic anymore. The first chapter of Life is Strange: True Colors. I've never played a Life is Strange before, or I should say, I never played much of a Life is Strange
Yeah,
before. I downloaded the first episode of the first Life is Strange,
yeah.
and I had played it, got distracted by something else, and I dropped it, and I never went
That's
back.
the one I played. I
Uh,
played the first season only, so I haven't played anything since. It's from
yeah,
Don't Nod, right?
don't nod exactly. I like it. I think it's well crafted. I really like the art direction. I really like the storytelling, but I feel the games are just too slow for me. I have a hard time going back to it. While I'm
Mm.
playing it, I'm fine, but once I put it down, I have a hard time going back, and I don't know if it's just it doesn't have that pull that other games do.
Yeah.
Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I actually do like. I think it's very well crafted. So I'm gonna see if I could finish it, but I finished the first chapter and it ends on a cliffhanger. So I at least want to start the second chapter to see to see how that resolves.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That's how they get you.
Um, yeah, that's how they get you. This time this happened, but I think the other time I dropped it a little too early. I didn't wait for the cliffhanger.
Yeah, man.
Um, the other game that I played is called Disc Room, and it's made by Rami's ex partner from Vlambeer,
Oh,
JW. Yeah, and it's really good. It's a very well crafted game. I mean, I played. I think I finished the first 13 rooms or 14 rooms or something like that. So I didn't get too far into it. Played for about an hour or so. I beat the first boss, and I'm trying to beat the second boss now.
hmm.
But it's not the game is mostly there are sharp things that are trying to kill you. Avoid them.
Okay.
They're that's what it is, and you're moving around. I unlocked two powers, so there's a little bit more to it than that. But the first few rooms is literally that you can move, don't get cut.
Nice.
And they're exploring that and like adding different enemy types with different patterns and different objectives and goals to get from room to room. So they do. It's one of those really elegant games where they do a lot with a little, and I love those. I'm a big fan of, take this one simple thing and like explore, go, go wide. Um, so yeah, I'm liking that.
It's a shame Ron isn't
Uh,
here to go to see if he played it. He probably seen it in development or something.
Probably he probably play tested it and gave feedback or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we'll bring it up again the next time all three of us are here, which is probably not ever gonna happen again. I don't know.
Who knows?
The in-person episode at Gamescom. Yeah, there.
Yeah, that's not too far.
Not too far. And finally, the last thing I'll mention is I watched the new Obi-Wan. I'm up to date on the Obi-Wan show.
How many are
Have
out
you?
there? I think I watched four. Is it more than that?
Yeah, four.
Four.
No, it was four.
Yeah.
It was 4 episodes. Yes, and I have very mixed feelings about it,
Yeah.
if I can say that.
Yeah.
I think it's really like fan servicey without any like overlaying theme that I could discern, like no message. I feel it's poorly directed with a lot of the scenes uh, just shabby. Like they don't think like it's very memeable in that way.
Yes.
Like, hey, we put up this big gate, okay, but we could just walk around it. There's like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
there's
There's a lot of these plot points that are crucial to the story, but just don't make sense at all.
at all, and I can't turn off my brain. I keep spotting them, and I'm
Yeah.
like, every episode has like 10 of them. I mean,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Why it feels super low effort,
What
and it's heartbreaking
what I really
because I really
dislike.
like it visually.
Yeah, I like that we're seeing Darth Vader and like Ben Kenobi
Yes,
on the screen again. That's
yeah,
like the so much that you can do with that. But what I
yeah,
dislike about the writing of the show is that not only once an episode, I would say maybe 3 to 4 times an episode, there's a Deus Ex Machina
yeah.
coming out of nowhere to resolve a scene. And there's
Yep.
only so many times that this can happen before you can stop rolling your eyes at it.
Yep. And even like rewind a little bit before that because I noticed that too, especially in the fourth episode.
Mm.
but
Yes.
but I noticed it many times too. Before that, even it's coming. Like it's
Yes.
not even a surprise because these characters and which ones survive. So
Yes.
like having scenes that are based on tension because of will they make it out or not
It don't make
doesn't
sense at
work
all.
when you
Yeah,
know
doesn't make
they
sense at
don't make
all.
sense.
Exactly. So
So
like,
just don't do that.
exactly. Like, since you have the ability to write the fiction of whatever you want, and we know how it ends up for all of these characters, try to build suspense
Yes.
with everybody watching, knowing the how everything turns up
Yeah.
is weird. It
It's
feels
it's shocking. It's
inconsequential.
shocking. There's
Yeah, it feels
there's
like,
so many other ways you could build suspense. Like
yes,
it'll still work. Bring the characters back. I'm not saying don't do prequels. I'm just saying do it in a smart way. It's shocking.
yeah,
It's shocking.
yeah. And many times, like, because like a lot of these events feel inconsequential, so you
Yeah.
start to think, why am I even watching this? you know?
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm still enjoying it visually. There were a couple of cool moments, but overall, I wouldn't say it's a good show. I can't
Yeah.
bring myself to utter those
I
words.
will watch
So
all of it. I'll probably watch all of it multiple times. Like, Star Wars
yeah.
is part of my life in so many ways.
Hmm.
But,
But
yeah, I so far dislike where the show is. And I hope they
yeah,
take it in a different direction.
I really hope so. Okay, so we're aligned. I For some reason when you said you want to talk about Obi-Wan, I was like, okay, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it seems like we're aligned on
Yeah,
this.
generally, I don't usually like to criticize stuff on the air, but like,
Yeah,
Star Wars and this show specifically, like, just, yeah, I
yeah,
wish it was better. I hope it gets
I
better.
agree. I hope so. Oh, actually, I lied. I said no more things, but there is one more thing I wanted to bring up.
Ooh,
I saw the first episode of Miss Marvel,
ah,
and it is absolutely amazing.
man, this
It
year
is
is our year,
incredible.
right? Like a representation
It
all around.
is. It is so good. And like I know I'm super biased. I'm just happy it exists. I
Mm,
would have been happy to see Miss Marvel in any capacity on the screen. So I understand if uh, everyone's like, yeah, yeah, of course you liked it. Yeah, no, that's true. But it was also good on its own merit. On top of
yes,
that, it was super artistic and beautiful and emotional, and it had all these little nods, and it felt so authentic to like so many. It was just so well done. There were even little Easter eggs, little things that if you blink, you don't notice. Like one of the there's not a plot point, so not a spoiler,
hmm,
but one of the side like little cameo characters is a person who I saw live in a one of the first, if not the first, North American Muslim comedy group called Allah Made Me Funny, and he just makes a cameo where he says like two lines inside, and I'm like, 99% of the people are not going to have any idea who this person is, but this is a guy I saw live in Montreal, like I don't know how many years ago, because stand up comedy, like Muslim stand up comedy, was started to be a thing, and I was excited about it like 20 years ago, and there he is as part of Miss Marvel. Like it just brought so many amazing things together.
man, that's amazing.
Uh,
I'm so happy to hear that.
yeah, I watched it with my daughters, and they loved it too. My son watched it on his own. If you're wondering, he's that age. He's at that age. He's watching on his phone in his room, but it's fine.
Nice.
But we loved it. Yeah, and I couldn't. I can't believe I almost ended the episode without mentioning it because it was the thing I was the most excited to talk about on the
Yeah,
episode. But
I haven't seen it
sometimes
yet,
things work
so
out that
hopefully
way.
next week we can also talk about it some more and watch more of it. And Rami will be back; he can say his take on it as well.
That would be great. Yes, I didn't need to say details. I just needed to say how much I love it and how happy that it exists.
It's
So
great,
I'm
man.
happy I said that.
I'm super looking forward
Yeah,
to watching.
thank you, Habibi. Do we have time for email, or should we wrap it up? We went longer than we
It's been
expected,
a
to be
while since
honest.
we've done emails. Let's do an email or two.
Okay, let's just jump in there. So, what do I got for us here?
Well, Osama's picking them up. You can always send us emails at thehabibis.com. No, not that. Info@thehabibis.com.
Send it to email. We might get it.
Yeah,
No, don't
no.
send it to info.
Send it to info@thehabibis.com. We'll read it on the air. We have a backlog. Don't worry, we'll get to it.
So we have an email here by, I don't know how to pronounce the name. I'm going to try my best. Kale, I think.
Mhm.
Um, So thank you for sending an email. The question is, if you had to do an episode all on your own, what topic would you choose? Is there something that you could spend an hour or so talking about? What about you, Fauzi? I'm sure there are many things you could spend an hour
Yeah,
or
I
so
think like
talking about.
the Suhoor bites on their own. I think I spent like um, a combined almost hour talking about my favorite video games or my favorite TV shows or something like this. So I could probably talk about The Legend of Zelda for hours, or talk about fighting games for hours, or talk about
Yes.
game design for hours. And actually, like I do a lot of talks, so it's
Yes.
basically me standing up for an hour talking to to an audience. So I could definitely do it
Yes.
into a microphone. So currently, I'm doing a lot of talks on the creative process. I think we spoke about that on the show a couple of times. I alluded to it.
Yes.
It's like the topic of my upcoming book, and it's I spent almost an hour talking about creativity, ideas, inspiration, and originality, and where does all of these things come from. So now I can spend hours talking about this just because of the material I've been putting aside from my book as I started writing it. So yeah, easily an hour.
Absolutely. I love it.
What about you?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of overlap. I also lecture about game design, so I could talk for hours on different topics of game design. I literally have prepared courses where I could just tap into. I could talk for hours about fighting games and my favorite mechanics in fighting games and my favorite, like, favorite, least
No.
favorite, their history, the characters, all the different things about fighting games, forever and ever. I have a very, very soft spot for them. I can talk for hours about Magic the Gathering because specifically the intersection of Magic the Gathering and why game designers should play it because of the language use in Magic the Gathering. Even that small topic I could talk about for an hour,
That's
easy.
so cool. I would listen to all of
There
those.
was. Oh, I can't wait to read your book. I can't wait for it to come out. I want to hear about it, about the creative process. It's such an interesting topic.
2024, hopefully.
Hopefully, inshallah. So that was a good question.
Yeah, thank you,
I'm
Kale.
gonna try to remember it so we could like ask Rami because I mean it's Destiny and airplanes, but what else, Rami? I'm sure there's more than that. I mean, if you put all of his comments about those together, it's already going to be more than hours and hours and
Yeah,
hours. Yeah.
yeah. Rami could easily
Do you have time for
do a
one?
podcast about what he's been flying about over the past couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Time for one more?
Yeah, one more.
All right. All right. Okay. So we have a question by Tanvir. Thank you, Tanvir. The question is, and this is for whichever Habibi feels comfortable answering. So we'll see.
Hmm.
I'm a tech consultant, and as I'm progressing in my career, I'm being encouraged to create an online persona around my career and skills. I don't use social media as I like to keep my personal information off the internet as much as I can. However, this is becoming harder to do given the industry I'm in. I'm aware that the internet can be one of the best places in the world and propel you to your dream or lifestyle job if it goes well. But the internet can also be a terrible place at the same time. As a game developer as game developers who have a public and online profile following, how do you navigate this? Do you have tips for people to protect themselves from the bad stuff, manage your own well-being while still promoting yourself, your skills, and the work that you do? That's
Ah,
a big one.
yeah. I would have loved for Rami also to be here because I'm very curious to hear what you two do actually.
Okay. Well, for me, I try to do a little bit of separation. I'm not nearly as online as Rami is, and in terms of his presence and his following and all that. But still, I have different rules for different platforms. So, like LinkedIn, for example, I share work related things, and that's it. I actually keep forgetting that there is a wall where other people post things on LinkedIn because I don't engage with the content in that way. For Instagram, I share pictures, very few comments. My Facebook is much more curated than the other networks because a lot of my family, like extended family, are on it, and that's how I keep in touch with family or like old friends that haven't transitioned to anything else. So most of the things that I post on Facebook are actually not public; they're only my friends will see them, and I like it that way. I my Twitter is public; it's more open. And if you notice that sometimes, even when I cross post between Twitter and Facebook, I clean it up, I change it up. So like on Facebook, I'll use my part, like my wife's name, I'll use my kids' names, and on Twitter I'll say my wife, my kids, and little things like that.
Hmm.
Just to create this, it's more a reminder for myself of who the target audience of all these different platforms are. And more recently, because I have a lot of friends who are on Twitter and not on Facebook, most recently I've created a private Twitter
Hmm.
where I, just like if I want to say a thing that I know is like I don't want everyone in the world to hear, I just tweet it into the void. I barely have any followers. I'm barely following anyone on this private Twitter. I followed you, Fauzi, with it, but you didn't follow back, and that's
Oh,
okay. I
I
didn't take
didn't
it the
see
wrong
that.
way.
I think.
It's okay, but like that's the whole point. It doesn't matter. This is where I just go if I feel like ranting into the void. This is my outlet now. The reason for this is because whatever state goes on the internet stays there forever. You really do have to have this level of curation. It really does have potential negative impact. So as much as possible, you have to have like you could rely on it, but you have to have an escape route. You have to have other means. When Elon Musk wanted to buy Twitter, and a lot of people felt negatively about that, many people came up and said, "Well, I can't leave the platform. My livelihood is tied to it, or this or that." And that's all fair. Like regardless of what happens, you can't rely on one thing totally. Try to diversify as much as possible. I've and Rami as well, and I'm sure many other people too, have been targets of like hate groups. And right now, the answer is super simple. If that happens, I just um, turn off my Twitter and just go on another social media site or even none at all for a couple of weeks, wait for it to die down and come back. And that's been the best solution so far because, trolls or hateful people will move on and forget quickly. This is just in the heat of the moment that they do things like that. There's a really good app called Block Party where you could have other people vet anytime that you're mentioned or retweeted and block people for you. And like you could actually have your friends help you. There are other tools available where if you're in a big thread, you could instantly nuke and block every single person who liked or retweeted that thread. So there are things available, tools available for you if things go terribly wrong. However, if you're asking the question, should I have a following? Then I have to say, it's going to take a long time for you to even get that far. I wouldn't worry. Think about it. Keep it in the back of your mind because things can go bad. And assume that anytime you're going to post anything, that it's going to live there forever. But also keep in mind, it takes forever to get just your first 100 followers or 50 followers or whatever it is. The numbers are not that easy to get. So at the beginning, it's the other way around. You're going to try to get noticed. You're going to try to, especially if you're looking to build this for, to build a career out of it or to get recognized. At the beginning, it's the other way around. You're trying to get people to follow you. After a certain point, almost everybody who has a large following will agree that the experience gets worse with each follower and not the other way around. But that's your mileage may vary, so you don't have to worry about it for a long time. But keep it in the back of your mind. And if you feel that this is something that you do need for your career and that's debatable on its own, then there are things in place that will help you.
No, man, that's an amazing answer. Really.
But thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I picked up some stuff from it myself. That's great. Uh,
I
honestly,
appreciate that.
honestly, like I think like the thing that's similar is that I separate. Like I have an Instagram with my close friends, so I can post photos and we can talk and we keep up with each other and all of that. I have a public Instagram for work stuff, LinkedIn for
Mm,
work stuff, and Twitter for work stuff. Every time I do a work thing, I put it on social media.
mhm,
And that's what social media is for me. Well, like Facebook is also for family, old friends, and keeping in touch. Really, it's like my
mhm,
messenger phone book to some extent. I post like
mhm,
once a month on that thing, if any. For me, like I don't think I don't like social media generally. Like I don't I don't keep track of followers and how a tweet is doing or that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And I, for a long period of time, I didn't even use my Twitter. But then, like, somebody was telling me, is like, you come here, you do this talk, and you reach 20 people, 50 people,
Hmm.
100 people.
Hmm.
And he's like, it'll be a shame if, like, your voice don't reach to other people for the stuff that you're talking about. So I
That's
think
fair.
I think I kind of like begrudgingly started using Twitter because it helped me reach out to more people and do more of the things I wanted to do, which is like, first of all, like, increase the reach of how I can help people out, indie developers, small developers, Arab developers, uh, find more people that can, like, listen to our podcast, read my book, or like play my games, basically.
Hmm.
um, so yeah, I still
Yeah, I
do
had
it.
a similar
I
experience.
still kind of like don't put a lot of effort in it, which I guess I'm not doing it right, but yeah.
I think you are. Like, to be honest, I had a similar trajectory when it came to social media. I launched, like, I opened the Facebook pretty much when I found out there was a Facebook, like millions of years ago,
Yeah.
and then I was like, this isn't for me, and I stopped using it. And then I only went back to it when I was launching a Kickstarter for my side project, and I'm like, well, I guess I have to do the social media thing. And then I found it useful, and I stuck around. But there, like, I won't lie, there were a lot of good moments there that kept me coming back for not professional uses as well.
Yeah.
But my initial reaction to social media is meh, not for me, believe it or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
eventually, like, when Twitter came out, I'm like, not for me as well. And then it came back to it for the same reason, and I'm like, you know what, I kind of prefer this over the Facebook thing,
Yeah.
because it was mostly just ads and stuff. So, like, I think there is something there that brings people back, but there's also something there that naturally pushes people away. And it just depends on which side of the line you fall on in the moment where you're engaging with it, that
Yeah.
determines. There's usefulness that can't be argued, but there's a danger, same as what's stated in the email.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's it's
balanced
always cool
view.
to keep that in mind. But yeah, I feel like I'll do it when I feel like I stop doing it when I feel like I'm not gonna take anything too seriously. Life's too short.
Yep, that's the right way to do it. I think that's all the time we have. We said we were going to make a short episode, and this ended up being a long
Yeah, we had a
episode.
lot to say. Turns out.
We did. Well, it's been a while since we've talked to each other,
True, man. Yeah, it's
so
good to catch up. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, inshallah, we'll all be there next week. We really hope that that's the case.
Fingers crossed,
We'll
man.
do our best. Yeah. So time to put a doily on this one.
Time to put a doily on it.
All right. Guess follow us on Discord. Send us some emails.
All the
I don't
social
remember
media
what
stuff.
all the social media stuff. And we'll see you next week. Salam.
Salam.
That was the Habibis podcast for this week. I'm Osama Dorias, your host for this episode. You can find me on Twitter at Osama Dorias. My fellow Habibis were Rami Ismail, you can find on Twitter at THA_Rami, and Fawzi Mesmar, who you can find on Twitter at Fawzi Mesmar. Send us your questions, stories, suggestions via info@thehabibis.com. Intro and outro music was provided by Malik Zubayla, and the logo was provided by Ibrahim Hamdi. The Habibis is a weekly podcast about 3 game developers drinking good Arab tea, with new episodes launching every Friday, inshallah. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcasting service, or check out thehabibis.com for more information. Thank you for listening, and Assalamu alaikum.